Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Marwa Zafarullah. I am a neuroscientist currently working at the Stanford University in California, United States of America. First, I would really like to thank the organizers of this International Education Expo 2023. And then I am super thankful for the Directorate of the Student Affairs, University of Agriculture, Purewala Subcampus, for inviting me to lead this session and for providing me an opportunity to speak with all of you. So this session is very particular, being designed to give an idea about the admission process at the Stanford University. And it is particularly being interest of all of you who are looking forward to pursue your higher education. More specifically, I would say the master's or a PhD degree program at the Stanford University. So instead of me verbally telling you how the education program looks like and where you could find all the resources, I found it would be much better if I lead you step by step to show you that how every student that on this planet Earth apply to the Stanford University and look for the different programs of their interest. So let me start sharing my screen with you, and I am taking you all to the official website of the Stanford University, which is basically a www.stanford.edu. So the only website that you need to remember and the only website that you start working from is the Stanford official website. Once you click on this website on Google, you will see this particular window comes up. On this window, there are many tabs. As you can see, there's a news, events, academics, research, healthcare, campus life, admissions, and about. And then there are also being some small subtabs that is being particularly designed to give an information to the students, to the faculty and staff, families, visiting scholars, and also being involved the alumni. So as this session being designed specifically for the admission prospect, the tab that I'm going to click for all of you is the admissions. Once you click the admission, this particular window is going to open up. Now scrolling down, the first information that you would see that there's about 7K plus undergraduates and about 9K plus graduate students are a part of Stanford community. And they belong to about 64 different countries across the 50 plus states. Now over here, of you who are being interested or anyone around you who being interested in looking at the undergraduate degree programs, what the admissions, what is the financial aid looks like, this might be the section for you to explore. But this particular session is being directed toward the graduate studies. So if we scroll down, you can look over here. This particular section that started from the graduate studies, and that's what we are interested in exploring today. So there are about more than 200 degree programs that are being offered at the Stanford. All of those programs have a different graduate admission requirements. And what are those requirements are the one that you could find over here. Now, if you're interested in looking for the cost, we will come back to this one and see what are the graduate student funding options. And then last but not least, you can also see the information about the prospect students. So let's start exploring from the graduate admission. So I'm going to open this tab for you. So first look at the graduate admissions. Once we reach to this particular page, there's a lot of information over there. And I would say each and every information that you're looking forward, you could find over here. You could explore the programs. You can find how to apply for the graduate program at Stanford, and also can get an idea about the admitted students who are already being part of the Stanford community. There are a lot of students who come to me and they ask me about very particular questions is like, what are the programs that are being offered by the Stanford, and how could we came to know is like, if this is program of our interest. So I would say if any one of you who are listening to me is being interested in that question, here is the answer for your question. Explore the programs. Look what are the programs that are being offered by the Stanford. Now, either you can filter through the school. If you're being part of any of the school, is a school of education. If you're an engineering student in Pakistan, you can go through School of Engineering, Humanities and Social Sciences, School of Medicine, or you can also look at the sustainability. If you're looking for a specific degree program, you want to do MA, you want to do fine arts, you want to do a master in liberal arts, or you are more interested in a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD like myself, you can click any one of these options and it will filter out the programs that specifically only offered you that particular degree program. There's also some other options over here that include the bioscience PhD program, or you can also have an honors program. I would say one of the most easiest way is that just type to search the program of your interest. In this case, let's just for an example, I would say neuroscience. So if I type down the neuroscience, it will pop up the program, the graduate program that being offered by the Stanford. So it seems that in the Stanford, they do not offer the master's if you're being interested in a field of neuroscience. They only offered the PhD program. So now the second question is like, okay, if I'm interested in pursuing a PhD program in neuroscience, what I need to know? Just a simple click is going to put each and every information in front of you. Neuroscience is a part of School of Medicine. This is a specific program's website. This is a Stanford bulletin that will take you to a Stanford main informational panel. This is the email ID of the person that you need to be communicate in case if you have some of the questions that not being answered by looking at this website. This is a full-time program, and it is basically a part of Stanford Bioscience program. Now, a lot of you ask me a question, is the GRE required by the Stanford? Do they need the TOEFL or IELTS or any other English proficiency test? I would say this is what you are looking forward. So if you're interested in applying for the PhD neuroscience at the Stanford, you does not need a GRE, not even a journal, not a specific one. So it means that it's an exempt. You does not need to have a GRE score in your hand or need to apply for a GRE or take the GRE test ever if you're interested in applying for this particular program. Now, what is the admission terms? So this is just an overview over here that the application deadline is closing on December 5, and it's going to be an entry term of autumn. Of you who are pretty new to the United States education system, I would like to emphasize that irrespective of a Pakistan, where we apply for a PhD or master degree program and we get admission into the same year, it is quite different in the United States education system. Over here, it took about an year for the application to be get reviewed, and then you will get an answer that if you get admission into a program or not. So of all of you who are, let's say, interested in applying for the PhD program for a next year, let's say for 2024, you will get admitted to the program in 2025. So if you apply by December 2024, you will start your classes at Stanford in the fall or autumn of 2025. So it depends about the program where you're going to apply for. It varies from program to program, but basically it took about 3 to 4 months for the application to be get reviewed, and then you will be hear back from the admission committee that if you're able to secure admission at Stanford or not. So of you, let's say, just for another example, I can see genetics. In case if anyone of you interested in genetics, there's 2 different programs. Genetics in having a PhD, or if you're interested in looking for as being a genetic counselor, it's a human genetics and genetic counseling program. So if you click over here, you can see it's a full-time program, no GI required, and deadline is the same as this. And look at there that you have a specific email ID for only this program. Now, if you can see, this is genetic counseling at stanford.edu is different than when you click for the genetics PhD. So make sure that if you have any question that never being addressed by looking at the information on the website, you reach out to the right email ID to communicate those questions. So this is the first part. What program I want to apply for. So over here, you have an answer for that program. And if you want to see if Stanford offered that program, I will simply say, just write it over here and you will get it the answer. Of you, let's say, if you said, oh, I'm from animal sciences, I want to see if they offer anything in animal sciences. They all offer the master degree program in laboratory animal sciences. So this is it. This is your answer right over here. Now, the next question that the students mostly do get is that, okay, now I decided that I want to go for a neuroscience program. So how could I know that, apply for this program? How could I get all of that information? There's two ways you can get that information. One, you can click the neuroscience PhD and then you go specifically to the program website over here, as you can see. And then the first tab, how to apply. Just click over here and you have an answer for all of your questions, just being here for your neuroscience program. It will tell you what are the deadlines, not late applications being accepted, and then if you have any specific questions, you can review the graduate admission website. And then if you're interested in applying, you can click here to apply, and it will lead you to the website where you can start filling up your application. Now, there's a couple of things. Stanford is one of the most competitive schools that is existing in the United States. So they want to give you an idea that how competitive this program by telling you that there are only 14 Stanford bioscience PhD programs that is only accepting the applications once per year. And then even on that, you can ask them, out of these program that you're applying for, what are their basically a ratio for accepting an international student in comparison to the domestic students, which are basically a local student from United States. Now, this will tell you the eligibility for admissions, what you specifically need, for getting an app approved for this particular program. And then if you are being applicant from institution outside of United States, which Pakistan is included here, then you need to make sure that you have a bachelor degree program that is equivalent to US bachelor program, which in our case is like if you have a BS, no matter if it's in agricultural sciences or no matter if it's basically in any other field of study, it will be equivalent to the 4-year degree program for the for getting an admission. And then one of the other things that I would like to mention that a lot of students might not know, that the master degree is not being required in United States to secure an admission in PhD. Let me repeat that and re-emphasize that. If you are a bachelor student who is listening to me right now, you don't need to apply for the master degree program to get further into a PhD degree program. You can directly apply to a PhD degree program in United States of America. They do not require for you to have a master's to be considered for the PhD. So that will save you 2 years of your life if you want to ultimately go for a PhD. So that's something that a lot of students don't know. And I really want to let you know that this is something is being exception only in United States. Now, if you're looking for application fee and fee waivers, the application fee is $125. And they also allow you to apply for the fee waiver in case if you belong to the country like Pakistan and your financial situation does not allow you to afford this amount of money, you can also apply for the fee waiver. And there's a specific process that I will just show you a glimpse of that. And they will consider students from Pakistan because they be very well aware the economical difference between the currencies. Now, if you want to look at the faculty, this is the overview. You can look what are the people that are being part of this program. You can also look at the bioscience faculty over here. So just clicking over here, it will give you an idea. Right now, I'm just giving you a kind of like a brief overview. And then we will look a little bit more into a deeper. It depends, that what is interest over here. Now, these are the different sections that you need to be considered while you're applying for this program. You need to have a statement of purpose, which is being told to you that it should not exceed 2 pages in length, single space, and font size 12. So these are the requirements that you need to be fulfilled while you are looking and writing for your statement of purpose. You need to make sure that you fulfill these instructions for sure. Now, the statement of purpose is basically a small document, as you can see, it's only 2 pages in length. That will tell them that why you're interested to be pursuing your higher education in Stanford and what you can offer in Stanford and learn at Stanford, that could help you to grow. Now, I will tell most of the students is that when you're writing this statement of purpose, always keep in mind that your application is coming in the pool. It's going to be a part of this huge big pool where the students are applying from all over the world. So you want to make sure that you being crystal clear that why you are interested in coming to Stanford, what you can offer, how you can contribute, and what are you expecting to get in return. Because everyone is coming with a unique perspective, and you want to make sure that your perspective is being unique enough that it build up the interest of the admission committee to look further into your application. The next thing that you needed, and it is a compulsory, is a letter of recommendations. Now, the letter of recommendations should not be from any specific person. When people say, oh, should I need to ask this one so-and-so to write a letter of recommendation? No, you want to make sure that your letter of recommendation are coming from the people that knows you, that knows your working style, and that have maybe an opportunity to work with you in any capacity. And also make sure that your letter of recommendations are speak about your potential. So I strongly suggest that instead of requesting some random people to write a letter of recommendation for you, always go and request that from a folks who know you in different capacities. Like you can reach out to your professor with whom you take some class and you contribute in that class, either you being a teaching assistant, either you do some research project with that professor, or I would say either you being a very productive while during the class. So the professor knows personally that what is your potential. Or you can reach out to any of your mentor, doesn't matter from which part of the world, with whom you work, who knows your working style, your management style, and know that why you are interested in pursuing this higher education, and more specifically in this school, which is in this case is Stanford. So try to be your letter of recommendations is being as specific as possible, because the journal template is not going to bring a good impression. You want to make sure that they can speak high of you and they can speak about the qualities that you're possessing from their personal experiences that they gather while they were working with you in any different capacity. Now, the academic record, which is basically your transcripts. The transcripts are coming from your school. So when you're applying to the Stanford, they will request you that you please forward your transcripts from your school where you are currently being studying, or from where you are graduated, directly to the Stanford. Now here, there's one question that I'm being asked a lot of time, is that how important is the GPA while you're applying for a school, specifically like a Stanford, how important it is to have a good GPA. And I always said it is important. It is not like, that you need a starring 4.0 to secure an admission. There's a lot of 4.0 students who are even not able to secure an admission because they're lacking the vision. So if you have a vision, take your chance. But at the same time, they also want to see that you are a good student. You have a capability of learning, and you have a capability of being reflecting that you learn pretty well, right? And one of the good way of looking at that is that how you're being contributing. So either you have a good GPA, which means that you have a good grades, which means that you work hard and read well while you were taking those classes. You could have some research projects that you being contribute. You might have some research paper that show that you have that critical thinking that allow you to be an independent scientist once you get the training from Stanford during your PhD. So most of the programs have the specific minimum requirement. Sometimes it's 3.0, sometimes it's 3.4. So you want to make sure at least that you are fulfilling the minimum requirement. And then whatever you're getting on the top of that is more the merrier situation. So if you're someone who has a low GPA, I would say that I am not discouraging you, but you still have an opportunity to improve your grades, or either improve your profile in any other different way that shows that you have the potential that you could contribute. Now, this is a question that I was saying that being asked multiple times, if the GRE is being required, should I take a GRE? Should I take a GRE journal? Should I take a GRE selective? So in this case, you can see that it's a pretty obvious, it's just right over here. All of these programs that are being written over here is not needed. Over here, it's the optional, especially if you're in the area of physics. But as you can see, genetics, not needed. Molecular and cellular physiology, not needed. Neuroscience, not needed. Immunology, not needed. So if you are looking forward to apply to Stanford, you do not need to take a GRE exam. Now, the next question is, do I need to take a TOEFL, or do I need to take any other English proficiency exam. So I would say this is the place where you would find that information. If our first language is not English, we have to submit the scores. It could be a TOEFL, and then either we need to show that the university, and then they will tell you what the minimum requirement for the TOEFL. They will also even tell you that what kind of TOEFL that they were looking forward to. We do not accept TOEFL essential scores or any other English proficiency test, for example, IELTS and PTE. The TOEFL test must be taken prior to the application deadline to confirm your eligibility. So the only TOEFL that they're accepting right now is a TOEFL IBT Home Edition or the TOEFL IBT Paper Edition. So these are the two English proficiency tests that is being requested by the Stanford. So if you take the IELTS and you are interested in applying for the PhD neuroscience at Stanford, I am really sorry to let you know that you might need to retake this particular test to be considered for the English proficiency. Now, what are the requirements? They will tell you that the minimum TOEFL requirement, they were looking for 100. And if you score below 109 on TOEFL and you're admitted, you might need to take an English placement testing. So now I would also say that over here, more the merrier. Try to be score as much higher as possible. But let's say, in case if you get admission and you still have the TOEFL, which is less than 109, they will let you take some additional testing, English testing, or some additional English proficiency test that being conducting before the start of your classes. And the reason for that is that they want to make sure that you are able to communicate well with your fellow students and also with your teachers while you are being a part of these classes. Do you have an exception for the TOEFL? They said, yes, you can exempt from the TOEFL in cases if you have a bachelor master from a regionally accredited college or university in the United States, which in our case is not. And the second one, if you have an equivalent degree from an English language university from these particular countries, including Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Singapore, and the United Kingdom, which means that Pakistan is not have an exemption for the TOEFL. So we have to take the TOEFL. And then you can also look only the exemption, as they said, if you have exemption, you can apply for the waiver, which in our case, we do not. So any one of you who is interested in applying for the Stanford should have to take this test. Now, what are the additional supporting application material? As I said, if you have a research experience, that's going to count toward your application. A good resume and CV will show that just the glimpse of how good you are in the different part and different sections of your life, including your research, including your presentation skills, including your education. And then there could be another supporting materials that they would like to, but if that being needed, like a reprint of your publication, copy of master degree, in case if you're a master degree program right now, enrolled in Pakistan, they will let you know. So don't worry about this part. Now, the last question that mostly being asked is that, okay, how the application review and decision is being made. So the deadline for this program is December 5. Once you apply for this program, then your application it will get reviewed. And how it will get reviewed, there's going to be a full panel that will include some faculty members and also include some current graduate students from this neuroscience department. And they will go through each and every application one by one. And these applications are coming internationally and also from all over the United States. So you can imagine that there's going to be a big pile of application, that is going to get reviewed by this whole committee. They're being very critical and they want to make sure that they are looking for the right candidates and they are not neglecting anyone on any of the criteria that is being already met. So the students who pass through this round and their applications are coming in a strong standing, then they will get an interview call. So they will be invited for on-site interview. So if you are being international, most of the cases, they will allow you to have an interview virtually, especially in the COVID era. And sometimes they also facilitate you. If you're interested in coming on Stanford, they facilitate you to be here, and to communicate with the multiple different faculty members, to communicate with the other graduate students who are part of the program, because they want to make sure that if they like you based on the application that you put in, you also need to like the school because this is going to be your home for the next 5 years. So that was the purpose of an interview. And they would also facilitate you to meet with the faculty members so you know what kind of research is being going on. Then there by the mid-February, the decisions will be made. So you will get the email that will state that either you get into program or either you did not admit it to the program. And then they also being a decision feedback. So it is basically sometimes it being taken from the students who deferred the admission, let's say by any reason you could not able to join the program, then they will take your feedback to get better idea. Is like, what are the reasons that student could not be a part of the program? And sometimes they also would like to gather it from someone if the people have any complaints or they want to talk more about that. Now, these are the questions. So if you have additional questions, you can click any of these bioscience graduate admission. And there's a lot of questions that being listed over here that asked by the student. Let's say graduate admissions FAQ. Am I eligible to apply to Stanford? What information I need? So these are all questions that many students like you ask during in all those past years, like, look at this. My legal name has only one name. How should I enter my name in my application? So this is such a specific question. So if any one of you who are being in this position, I would strongly recommend to basically look at the frequently asked questions first. And if you still could not find the answer for your asked question, then the next place where you need to go is to contact the folks and then talk them directly. So if you contact them over here, they will lead you to a very specific, either a virtual assistant that will tell you what you need for. How do I apply? Do you have any other opportunities? I am a student and who can I talk? And then if you want to write to someone specific, I already told you that you can write to that particular email address that you see while you were looking at the program exploration. So this holds true for each and every program. If you want to just say a glimpse of admission timeline, this is how it looks like. Applications are open. This is the deadline right now. This is applying for the specific deadline people. If you want to apply earlier, you might be considered earlier. And this is the final deadline. Application will be reviewed from December to mid-January. Then you will get interview invite. This is the interview is happening in March. Admission letter being sent in March, and deadline to accept the admission letter is April. And then afterward, your classes will be start because April, after that, there's going to be a summer session. And then the admission classes will be started from September. So that's exactly what I was trying to communicate, that if you're interested in applying for 2024, it means your application need to be in the system by December 5, 2024. So you could join the Stanford in fall of 2025. So it's the year process. And as you can see, why this process takes this long. So this is true for each and every program. I gave you an overview for the neurology program, but I would say that this is pretty much true for every program that you're interested in applying for. If you are being more interested, you can see that there are faculty being listed over here for this Stanford Bioscience. It can tell you who are being a member of this faculty. Stanford has 9 Nobel Prize winners. They have a lot of brilliant minds who are working over here. You can see over here what are the different PIs, what kind of work they're being involved in, and any other kind of information that you're interested in exploring, you will get over here. If you're looking for recruitment events, if you want to be, as I said, contact us. And admissions, which we just went through the whole process with all of you. And that is true for, as I said, for each and every program. Now, if I go back to the admissions, the point from where we started, there is a tab over there that's a financing graduate study. So if you click the graduate study financing, it can lead you the resources that is being offered by the Stanford, and it includes the financial aid office, it could include the different services, in the term of like, I would say, as I said, mind over money. So it can provide you extensive coaching and all those kind of resources to help you in navigating through all the financial resources, mental health resources, and the educational resources so you can excel on the campus over here. There are multiple fellowships that are being offered by the Stanford. Some of them are being very specific to the field of study. If you're in the field of science and engineering, if you're social science and humanities, and also if you're being part of some other disciplines, you can see all of these fellowships that being listed here. So you can see what fellowship could help you while you are being, looking forward to apply at the Stanford. You can also look at some external fundings as you click over here, that can tell you. So this is all the learning opportunities that is being, on and off campus. And it can also show you the few grants that the School of Medicine is being offered and the School of Science is being offered few grants. And then there was some grants that are being part of School of Humanities and the Social Sciences. So a few who specifically asked me multiple times, like, oh, how could I know if I can get a full funded program at Stanford? I would say explore this, explore for your funding options, see what the Stanford is offering, and then I want to lead you to another website that is basically called Stanford Financial Aid. So if you just mean write Stanford Financial Aid, you could look at the funding options that is for undergraduate students right over here, and for the graduate basics, which in this case, most of you are being here to learn about, is lead to you this tab. So it will lead you to basically the graduate aid at the Stanford, for the undocumented students, for planning your education expenses, and for the international students that we are in this case. And here it will also help you in considering for your visa status, letting you know, about the financing options, and also the Stanford Sport programs. So these are the different resources that you need to be explored while you're applying. You can also apply for the aid. You can also look at the budgeting that you can do. And then there's other funding options as well. So these are some of the fellowships. Those are called internal fellowships, as you can see over here that I was showing you before. Those other fellowships are being offered by the Stanford. Then there are some fellowships that are called external fellowships. Those fellowships included some of the grants that is not being offered by the Stanford, but that being offered by some other organizations in United States or all over the world. And sometimes we are being eligible for those grants as well. You can also look at those grants and apply for them, and they are being students out that I'm being familiar with who got those grants. So there's another way. Now, the third way of basically affording your education at the Stanford is that you communicate with your PI, that is principal investigator or faculty member with whom you are doing to do a research project. So in that case, most of the PIs, they have the grants, and they will allow you to work with them to answer those specific questions by using the funds of those particular grants. And in that case, your educational expenses will be all beared by your faculty member. So I would say this is another way of how you can manage your expenses at Stanford, that you can communicate with your PI of interest. You can see, what kind of project they're being doing. You can show that how you can contribute into those projects. And then if that all works out, the PIs mostly, when you accept it into the program, let you be working in their lab. And as you're working in their lab, they will bear your educational expenses, because now you are a part of their lab and you're working with them as a graduate student researcher. One of the other way is that you can also be a teaching assistant, which means that you can teach the classes with some of the professors on campus. And as you're teaching and you are giving your time for those classes, the main professor teaching the class will bear the expenses for your education for that particular semester or for that particular quarter. So let me list out for you the funding option. There is a Stanford internal fellowships. There are Stanford external fellowships, which you can get an idea by looking over here on this particular website. Then there is a way that where you communicate with your potential faculty member of interest, if you can work with them as a graduate student researcher. And last but not least, you could be served as a teaching assistant and teach a class with a professor who will be responsible for taking care of your financial expenses for that particular semester or the quarter. So with this all said, I try to answer pretty much all the questions that came through my way while I was preparing for this session. In case if there is any question very specific that I couldn't able to address and you thought that you need more information and guidance on that, I will strongly suggest to reach out to me via LinkedIn. So this is my profile. If you can just go to LinkedIn and write Marwa Zafarullah, I will pop up. So please feel free to send me the message. You can click a message over here, type your message, and I will try my all best to answer as many questions as possible. And with this all said, I would really like to thank all of you who are listening this session. And I am looking forward to your questions. I hope that I able to answer, most of these queries that you're keeping in your mind and able to answer most of the questions and confusions that you have. But I will say that this process is pretty much standard across the different educational institute in United States. So if you're looking forward to apply to the Stanford, I just show you how you can explore the various, I would say, resources that are being available at Stanford and how we can apply. And one of the other ways is that if you're interested in any other institute, this is pretty much the way. You can go to their official website, look at the admissions, and you will have all the information in front of you just in the few clicks. So with this, I would like to say thank you to all of you who are listening to me. I'm really thankful again to the organizers and to the Directorate of Student Affairs for giving me this opportunity. And I am looking forward to more opportunities to speaking with you and to share my knowledge. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.